Greetings YouTube and welcome to another episode of the Weekend Salaryman, a weekend live Fujifilm photography and snippets from Seoul and around South Korea. Now recently I went on one of my first street photography POV photo walks that I've done in a long time, and I really used to enjoy doing these photo walks back in 2019. Obviously COVID happened, I stopped uploading to YouTube, and it feels like forever since I've actually gone out on a dedicated street photography walk, shot a POV, and it was really fulfilling to get out and do this again. And so this past week, on a humid, sticky Seoul summer afternoon, as soon as I knocked off, I was armed with my Fuji X10 and Viltrox 85mm. I went for a walk around Gangnam in Seoul, the financial district of Seoul, where I live and work. And really I went on a mission to kind of capture the rush hour of Gangnam, which is generally quite a busy district, as well as the commuters, the travelers, the locals. That was kind of what I had tried to get with this POV. Street photography for me has always been an outlet. It's been a way for me to make sense of the world around me. And while I was doing this photo walk, it got me thinking about, how photography in many ways is freedom. Photography is almost the counter, the diametric opposite of what society expects from us a lot of the time. And for me personally, it's a freedom from the mundane and often suffocating life of a salaryman, which requires you to clock into an office at 9 and clock out at 6. You're more than welcome to skip ahead to the actual street photography section of this video, but I do feel that it is important that I talk about the settings that I used and the objective and my purpose of shooting this session. And I set out to only shoot in black and white, and specifically use a black and white recipe just so that I could nail the result as best as I could in camera without having to make any major tweaks afterwards. I wanted a recipe that was relatively high contrast but not too high contrast, and so I used Acros as my base, and the specific recipe that I use, I don't remember it offhand, but I will put it on the screen and I will also link it below. In terms of the film stocks that I enjoy shooting, I've always enjoyed shooting with Kentmere 100, which is a relatively low contrast film stock and pretty cheap as well. But then on the other hand, I also enjoyed shooting with Kodak T-Max 400, which I find runs a little bit which I find has a little bit higher contrast, and so that was kind of the mood that I wanted to go for, a more dramatic mood. And I found that this Acros recipe that I set up worked pretty well to emulate that T-Max 400 film stock. I made a few tweaks to this recipe, but in general I'm pretty happy with the way it came out, and I found it fitting for the mood that I was trying to convey with these shots. I've only shot in black and white a handful of times, to be very honest, but on reviewing those previous photos that I've shot as well as this set, I've come to a few realizations about black and white photography and what its purpose is as a medium. Number one is that black and white, by stripping out the color and by virtue of its simplicity, really draws the viewer's eyes to elements completely outside of color, like composition, contrast, textures and light. Number two is that I feel black and white photography gives a greater emphasis on storytelling, and specifically if you look at subjects, without the distraction of color, you're kind of forced to hone in on subjects' expressions, their faces, and kind of it creates a story through that. And last but not least is that black and white photography is almost like a common denominator for your subjects, and by doing that, I feel like there's a kind of a unity. So it strips out any, kind of differences and provides a common humanity of sorts. So all this is to say that black and white photography, even though I won't be shooting it on a regular basis, I feel it still does have its place in my arsenal, and I feel like anyone who is exploring street photography should definitely at least do sessions where you shoot only in black and white, because it has such artistic value and definitely hones your eye and hones your photography craft. enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed the images, if you got value from this at all, then please remember to hit like and subscribe, as I upload videos weekly now, almost 5 for 5 on the channel, and really enjoying this kind of return to YouTube. If you've watched until here, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.